It is a gorgeous sunny day today, and we are going to take some time to talk about pornography. And I know that sounds weird that we're going to just jump into it, but if you have been paying attention to Twitter or if you're on Twitter over the last, I think it's 48 hours and stuff like that, we've been introduced to what I'm assuming was kind of the plan all along by Elon Musk, and I kind of called it way back when he changed the name of Twitter after purchasing it to X.com. There's a reason why, and you'll notice if you go through my writings and my videos and stuff like that, that I don't call X.com X.com. I call it Twitter because that's what it is. That's what it was. That's what people do. That's why when you type in twitter.com, you get redirected there. This was like a decisive move by Elon Musk to change the name to something sexy. X.com, in the connotation of like Western media and the internet in general, was always pornographic. It was always meant to kind of like evoke those kind of like naughty feelings, because that's just how the internet has been brought up. Okay, you know that if you click on let's say X.com was not a thing. It was not owned by Elon Musk, and that it was just a free domain that you were going to, be able to like snag and use for a website. What kind of website are you going to use X.com for? Is it going to be the same kind that you use, XXX, .com for? Like there's a ton of variations on that theme because we know what those letters mean in Western culture. Those letters like XXX or even just X, we know that means something you're not supposed to be looking at, but if it's being shown in public, it's meant to represent the thing you're not supposed to be looking at so that you can, get enticed in to the X-rated movie, to the X-rated theater, to the X-rated, store that sells the X-rated products. Okay, X was always going to be X-rated, and I love that people didn't see that coming the same way, which is why I call it Twitter. I know Twitter is blood sport. It is iron sharpening iron, and it is meant to be combative and stuff like this. And this is Elon deciding, nope, I want to make sure that I have all the weebs. I want to have all the, lonely guys exactly where I need them, which is supporting me because I'm going to be giving them something you want. If you don't know what I'm talking about by this point in the movie, or this point in the video, the newest version of Grok, X's AI, came out, and it comes with a virtual digital assistant that you can kind of see and interact with as opposed to just like a text box. A lot of places, they're doing this kind of stuff. And this one comes with a spicy mode where you can essentially take the anime, and it is Japanese anime. It's a Japanese anime girl that pops up. I think her name's Aria or something like that. I don't know. I'm not Googling that. Sorry, it's not happening. But you take that and you can decide what she wears. And one of the default options is her in a thong and a bra with a teddy on that, any guy is going to see as pornographic. And it's intentionally done that way. That's because that's what this is. Social media has always been what porn is, and porn has always been what social media is. It's hard to kind of get people out of that kind of like dual natured thinking that these are two separate things, the way cats and dogs are the same kind of thing. But what they are is they're both mammals. They're both mammals. Cats are mammals, dogs are mammals. Cats have teeth, dogs have teeth. Cats have a tail, dogs have a tail. Cats have fur, dogs have fur. The differences between the two are slight when you just take a step back and you realize, oh, they're variations on a theme, and the bigger thing of mammals kind of encompasses them both. So yeah, those pornography and social media have and always will be the same kind of thing and will behave the same kinds of ways. And so especially when you start labeling things in a pornographic way, you're going to see this trend towards it. Because just ask yourself now, just ask yourself, how optional is, Copilot in the Microsoft ecosystem, if you've ever had to work with Copilot. It takes forever trying to get it out of everything that you don't want AI in, so that you can just use the program the way you want to use it. That's because that's what they want AI to be used at, so that they have that interaction for training data, for all that kind of stuff. That's what they want. How prevalent is like Google Gemini, that kind of stuff. We know where this is headed. You would not make a sexually attractive and sexually charged avatar for your AI if you weren't going to use that as an anchor point to make sure that you captured the information that kind of thing could gather. This is a great time to point out that, while I like being able to post all my random thoughts about Christianity and technology online in Twitter, the second it becomes something you can't avoid, that has to be the line in the sand. That has to be the line in the sand. Because, yeah, you can use the internet without going to porn sites, but X has always been a porn site. That's the thing. It's like you can have a website that allows you access to information, like a library or like a you can have databases and stuff like that. You can use the internet like 1.0, where it's just, computers talking to computers, allowing access to each other's computer, that kind of stuff. The second you get social media involved, you get porn. That's what it is. And this is where this is going to trend to. Saw it coming a mile away when he renamed it X, that it was always going to be a way to make porn socially acceptable, because to Elon Musk, if this comes as a shock, porn is socially acceptable to him. He has complete control over Twitter and could have got rid of all the porn accounts with some very easy keywords and algorithms. He could have got rid of it so that it could be a free speech, platform, as opposed to being just, like a free anything platform, which allows for the kind of perversion. And it's asinine that we're at this point, and now it's a built-in feature for how they're wanting things to happen on Twitter. Okay, like that's the draw. Search is dead. We all know search is dead, and that's going to be basically AIs in place of search. And those AIs now are going to have personalities. They're going to have traits, and Elon is banking on the biggest section of the internet being the reason, or how he's going to beat out, just a nameless or faceless Gemini or Copilot or even ChatGPT. He knows that people go on the internet to look at naked girls, to look at naked people, to use it as a proxy for sexual activity. And he's banking on that to make X the everything app. He wants X to replace Google at one point, and this is how he's going to do it, because he knows that the internet is for pornography, that social media and pornography are the same thing, and that you can leverage that towards the goals of having everyone use your site as opposed to Google, as opposed to Bing, as opposed to ChatGPT, all that kind of stuff. Because not a lot of people can argue with sexy. Not a lot of people can have the moral fortitude to say, you know what, I'm just going to not use this anymore because it's immoral, because they'll find moral ways to use it. It's like, I'll just make sure she's dressed appropriately, that kind of stuff. No, that's not how this works. That has to be the line in the sand for Christians. Right now, if you don't use Grok, because Grok's still an option for how you interact with Twitter, you can stay away from this stuff. Haven't seen it on my feed, except for people commenting on it. But I don't subscribe. I don't pay for premium. I don't do any of that stuff, because I understand what happens when you take that pill. And now you're part and parcel with all the problematic stuff that's currently being pushed through Grok and these new anime avatars that are dressed inappropriately. God, I can't believe I'm making a video about this. Yes, that has to be a line in the sand for Christians. The second that becomes non-negotiable, and the same would go for any site, the second it becomes non-negotiable. If we get to the point as a society where, yeah, you can have Netflix, but there is no way to not see inappropriate content on Netflix. If there was no kids version of Netflix that you could put on where it was only kids, like that kind of stuff, that would have to be a line in the sand for Christians. It's like, we're not going to partake in this media that might have good stuff for us because the bad stuff is a non-negotiable. And this is the same thing that has to go with X. It's like, I don't want to move all my content exclusively to another platform like Twitter. I want to use Twitter because I think it has value. I have a lot of Christian, not porn using friends on Twitter. And like, I want to be able to connect with them on the app that we were connected on. I want to be able to bounce ideas off each other. I want to be able to second things. I second things online. I'm the guy who, raises his hand and seconds the good idea, like we do at, church board meetings, that kind of stuff. Like, I want to be able to use that stuff, but I'm not gonna if the only way I can use that stuff is to be okay with a half-naked anime girl also being on my page all the time and being involved with everything that I put into the social media. At that point, when it comes, and it's coming, guys, that's just it. That's me stepping off. And I don't want to, but I see that coming. And so this is almost a warning, and I'm doing it on YouTube, which is kind of weird, but I'm going to post this on Twitter. This is a warning. And an admonition for the rest of Christianity who happens to be online, that this is the line we have to draw for how we engage with social media. The line should have never have been like whether or not the site let people post about Donald Trump. It should have never been that kind of stuff. Like, this is, they're going to make this site, if I'm right, an avenue to sexual sin as part and parcel of use. That's going to be the way that this gets used. The very same way pagan temples back in the biblical times, the way you worshipped was through, pagan sexuality and sex rituals, at these, temples and stuff like that. It's the same mechanics. It's really just the same mechanics. And once you realize that, you're like, oh, okay, so it's not that, we're just like getting together and listening to music at these temples. It's not that we're getting together and we're, making sure that some people get a bit of our crops so that they can also eat. Oh, it's that we're sacrificing that to those gods, and the only way we do that is through having sexual relations with the temple prostitutes. That same mechanics is exactly what's going to go on in Twitter right now. You are being asked to be okay with an artificial intelligence that is going to be adversarially against the Christian sex ethic. And the second it becomes a non-negotiable part of X, Christians need to nope out. We need to be like, oh, so we're done now, and just delete our accounts and not go back. Because like that's the only option. It's boycott or nothing. You're always going to have connections to that kind of stuff online. I've known this for a while, that it does not matter who you follow. In about 4 to 6 degrees of separation, you can find pornographic content through their followers, and it's not hard. It's one of the main ways that people who know that they can't use porn at work look at porn at work, because they can just pop on Twitter and then follow followers until they find pornographic content. So that's, if you see lots of Twitter happening at specific break times, they're not like furiously posting political commentary on a free speech platform. No, they're following followers so they can find out who the pornographic content comes to. The second that becomes a non-negotiable part of using Twitter, Christians need to step out. And I will be the first person. I'll do it loud. I will make sure every other platform knows I've closed it down and why, and detail it all out and that kind of stuff. Because it needs to happen. This is how Christians have to interact with the internet, to be in the world and not of the world. So if your pastor is using Grok, has paid for Grok 4, thinking he was going to get all the benefits, of faster AI or like just better computation models, all that kind of stuff, it has, that should be the very next thing your board talks about. It's like, oh, so you have access to the AI porn bot. along with, the thought partner, the digital thought partner that we've all been told that AI can be for ministry purposes. How about you go use something else that doesn't give you the option of, at the drop of a hat, seeing something that, and like I can't even find out if this is like traceable. Like, is there a history to what you ask this thing? Like, I know there's chat histories, but you don't have to keep those. But like, how are you going to prove that a pastor was, making just, ogling the AI girl when it's not like search history based anymore? You used to be able to tell if your pastor was looking at pornography because there was a web history. How does that show up in the your internet router? Are you going to be able to like verify that your pastor is using Grok for biblical purposes or not? How long do you think it's going to take before that gets obscured to the fact where, no, we're going to make sure that privacy is important, so that, you can do these things without ever having to justify it in real life to the people who you're accountable to? There are some harsh lines that we have to draw as Christians when it comes to the internet, social media, and AI. And if we don't know what those lines are ahead of time, they will overwhelm us like a wave the second they happen. And it's really important that we start establishing those lines now. So for me, the second that becomes, a non-negotiable part of Twitter, that it doesn't matter what you do, you get the anime girl, and she's always going to be right there as you're doing Twitter as the assistant that you can't get rid of, like Clippy from Microsoft Word. You remember. You're old enough to remember. The second that is no longer an option and it's getting in the way and it's not a function that you can turn off or opt into as opposed to opt out of, I'm out. The account gets deleted tomorrow and I never come back to Twitter. And I don't look back. And it'll probably end up being that way for all social media. Do your work while you can here. But if it becomes that way for all social media, then like there's no other option. We have to step out of it because of how radioactively bad pornography is for anyone's life. And that Elon Musk is using that as a way to get influence on his site for use of his AI. It's just 8 kinds of wrong. But like, you could see it happening. You could see it coming like ages ago. If you had an ounce of discernment, you could see it happening. And so draw your lines now and wait for them to get encroached upon, because they will. That's how this stuff works. And I hope you guys stay safe. I hope you're not using AI. I hope you're not using Grok. And I hope you're not looking at porn. And God bless, because Lord knows we need it.